It is a paradox, perhaps the greatest paradox of our history as a species, that we are confronted with the most terrible problem that has ever confronted us, and yet that this problem is so terrifying that nobody can bear to think about it. That problem is, of course, the threat of a possible nuclear war and of worldwide annihilation. There have been many books written about nuclear war, many documentaries, many magazine articles, even some feature films, such as On the Beach. Somehow, the terror of the subject has made it such that a widespread public has never been able to tune in, read, and come to grips. The day after is a TV movie, and that seemed to do the trick. It's a rather banal TV movie at that. I wanted to make it as crude as possible, as unlike a film as possible, because I realized that if what we were discussing at the end of seeing it was how good, say, Jason Robards was, then we would have missed the point of the movie. With the exception of this opening title sequence, I didn't want any music in the movie, because that would remind you also that you were watching a movie. There is no music in the film except this, which is by Virgil Thomson, and is based on the score that he wrote for another film, The River. Virgil Thomson is the only composer who ever won the Pulitzer Prize for a soundtrack, The Louisiana Story. He was born and raised, as it happens, in Kansas City, and as he once said, all his music was an attempt to describe the city by the River Platte. He's now deceased, but I did get to talk to him very briefly when I asked for permission to use this music. I was the fourth director to be offered this project, which confirms my paradox theory that everybody is so terrified of this subject, including me, I might add, that you can't bear to think about it. This credit is slightly facetious, since it's only Virgil Thomson's music, I believe, throughout the movie. Robert Florio was the editor that ABC sent in to recut the movie when I had a big fight over their attempts to censor the movie. Gain Rescher was my cinematographer from Star Trek II, as was William Dornish, the editor from Star Trek II. The version you are looking now at, for better or worse, is the version that Robert Florio did not have anything to do with. It is the so-called director's cut of the movie, which I was allowed to use for foreign video and feature versions of the picture.
The West has been unanimous in condemning the Soviet action and applying economic sanctions, which has not stopped a growing Soviet military presence along the West German frontier. NATO intelligence sources report a massive buildup of infantry and armored divisions along the Elbe River and extending all the way south to the Czech border, which the United States fears could seriously jeopardize the current round of strategic arms reduction talks. The Soviet ambassador declared the maneuvers...
In this newscast, we first sort of get the message that World War III is on its way, when the film became the controversial hot potato that it turned into, and which I guess I always knew it was going to turn into, the fury between the liberal and conservative press in this country managed to obsess about how it was to be determined who started World War III, whether it was us or the Russians. And rather than focus on the themes of the film, I spent a lot of time answering ridiculous questions about who started the war, which was not the point. When you make a film for television, you have to meet with something called standards and practices before you make the movie. Standards and practices is a euphemism for the censor. And I didn't know, since I had never made a television movie before, or since for that matter. Standards and practices goes over the script that you have already agreed to direct and tells you what you can't put in. This surprised me. And I was shocked. When I got over my shock, I decided that I couldn't be bound by any of these rules, since I had agreed to shoot a script of my own that was submitted to me by ABC. And I argued that if they wanted to censor the movie, they should have censored it before they offered it to me and let me make up my mind then if I wanted to make the picture. It is the framework and the banality, I think, of the fact that this is a television movie that in effect made it possible for 100 million Americans to watch it in a night. These varying plots about families and their everyday problems presented in very sort of white bread terms enabled people to sort of watch this thing and drink it down. It is always true as well that when you're making a film for television, the trick is to keep people from switching channels, which, as everyone knows with a remote control, is terribly easy to do. And therefore, when calibrating how dreadful the nuclear war was going to be that we showed, we had to make sure that it wasn't so dreadful that people wouldn't continue to watch. So this is the optimist's view of nuclear war. It's also true that when the film was made, no one knew about such a thing as nuclear winter. Otherwise, we could have shot the whole second half of the movie without any lights. But that concept hadn't been enunciated yet by any scientists. The Army, understandably perhaps, refused to cooperate with the making of this film, and therefore all military installations, uniforms, equipment, and hardware had to be simulated or gleaned from stock footage. I'm a great believer in the uses of stock footage. Here's some of it right now. In fact, some of the key sort of ingenuity of the movie, I think, is the integration of stock footage into our fictionalized footage. All these views of an underground missile silo, are courtesy of the military only indirectly, since it was footage over which they no longer had any control. It was not in any event classified footage. These missiles are planted all over the United States, and this is a big monument in Kansas City, which we chose as the focal point for our film, since it's more or less smack dab in the middle of the United States.
Huh? No. Come on. I'm taking you someplace you work right next to, and I bet never been inside in 15 years. Well, come on.
Sometimes it's hard to know how to experience a Chinese landscape because the artist doesn't tell you where you're watching from, like in a Turner or a Corot or something. You know why? Because he wants you to be in the landscape, a part of it, not out here looking at it.
You mean a God's eye point of view?
No. Well, yes, if by God you mean everywhere inside sort of thing, yeah.
One of the things I discovered when you make a movie for television is that your compositions have to be fairly tight. If you get too far away, the people turn into little dots. You can almost tell the order in which certain scenes of this movie were shot when you see meaningless long shots where the people are very, very tiny. That was early in the schedule, before I saw dailies and realized that television is predominantly about talking heads.
An apartment 26 blocks away isn't exactly Independence, Missouri, you know.
Of course, choosing Boston wouldn't have anything to do with, what's his name?
Gary.
Gary, starting Tufts Medical this fall.
No. Well, maybe a little.
It is the thesis of this film, or at least part of its thesis,
Not right away.
that since most Americans, and probably most people, don't particularly pay any attention to newspaper headlines or news reports, that World War III is in fact building up like a ticking clock while these people are going through their somewhat ordinary and regular lives, and that merely a glimpse on the television or the radio or the occasional cutaway to material like this concerning the missile silos is sufficient to support what is otherwise the very unextraordinary lives led by the characters we depict. They are simply supposed to be representative Americans in a representative part of America going about their business.
Okay.
Come on, you guys.
Come on. Right, all right.
Here's one of these scenes which made perfect sense on a wide screen, but which is kind of meaningless on the television, which is the shot of the missile maintenance crews going about their work adjacent to the Hendry farm.
What they say is wrong with this thing anyway? Won't fly.
can't make cookies. You're only 4. You could show me.
Sure, kids, go ahead, but clean up.
Since NATO's insistence on positioning...
And here we see another dollop of news indicating the deteriorating European situation.
See, the real fear is that when the chips are down and the red light's blinking, that the United States won't really want to sacrifice Chicago for Hamburg, as the saying goes.
More on the radio. Most of the film was actually shot in Kansas. This, however, is in Hancock Park, Los Angeles. Most of the interiors were shot in Los Angeles.
Speaking with ABC News, the Soviet foreign minister claims the United States had the cart before the horse.
You can answer one question, can't you? That won't hurt you none.
All right, one question, but remember...
Where's Alan?
No, he's over at Jackson's having supper. They had a varsity scrimmage at 7.
Well, you didn't spend much time around here, did you?
Who does?
Looks like I'm here.
Yeah. That's kind of nice. Thank you. I thought you taught hematology at Lawrence tonight.
Sam's taking my classes for me. I'm going out tomorrow afternoon. We'll go to the movies tonight? Hmm? We could go to the Fern Hill Drive-In and...
Well, what if you just stayed in?
Yeah, suits me fine. Light a few candles, put on some raunchy music.
What has gotten into you?
Jason Robards wound up in this movie because I bumped into him on an airplane, and we were flying from Los Angeles to New York, and I knew him slightly, and he asked me what I was doing, and I had just started work on this, and I realized this isn't the proper way to cast somebody, and there were no agents around, and ABC wasn't around, and nobody was around because we were 36,000 feet over the land, and I told him about my movie, and he seemed very interested, and I said, would you like to play the lead character in this? And his line was, well, it beats signing petitions. And I said, it's a really good script. I've got it in my suitcase. I'll give it to you when we get to New York. And when we got to New York, they'd lost my bag. And he hung around for a while, and I said, trust me, this is really going to be good. And he said, I trust you, I trust you. And I then informed ABC that I had cast Jason Robards. It was probably the beginning of things that they weren't happy with me about, not because they didn't want Jason Robards in the movie, but because I didn't seem to be able to sort of make a TV movie the way TV movies were supposed to be made. And when I started ignoring all the dictates of standards and practices, and I was ignoring them here, this is all a scene about a diaphragm, which was supposed to be not shot and not filmed. This is in Kansas. We were filming this. ABC had a conniption fit, and they called me up, and they said, you agreed? And I said, I agreed to nothing except to shoot the screenplay that you offered to me. If you wanted to censor it, you should have censored it before you offered it to me, not after. However, I'll make things really easy for you. Why don't you fire me? I've only shot 2 weeks of this movie. You can get someone else to come in. I suspect Jason Robards will leave. My cinematographer will leave. But that being the case, you can replace us all and start over, and my conscience will be clear. They said they would get back to me, and eventually they backed down. Here is the notoriously controversial diaphragm scene, which they left in the movie as it happened anyway, because it was about the only joke there was in an otherwise extremely solemn undertaking. These interiors are actually in Kansas. It's a real Kansas farmhouse. John Cullum, who plays the father, is perhaps better known as a big Broadway and legitimate theater star. He starred in the musical Shenandoah and also in 1776. Here we all are chasing after the diaphragm.
Jolene! Jolene? Jolene! Jolene, you open this door right now. I'll never talk to you again. Jolene!
Tomorrow, Berlin time, that 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, would be regarded as an act of war. After an emergency meeting with his cabinet and congressional leaders of both parties, the president tonight declared all United States military personnel on worldwide Stage 2 alert. Soviet Ambassador Anatoly Karagin was summoned to the White House 3/4 of an hour ago.
Mom, she was in my...
Well, all right. You don't have to tell me. But I expect the two of you to settle it amongst yourselves. Otherwise, I'll see that your
I should point out that when I argued with the censors about this absurd issue, that the diaphragm was never seen, never mentioned by name. But they were upset because the use of it would appear that we were endorsing birth control.
God, it's 1962 all over again. Cuban Missile Crisis. Do you remember Kennedy on television? Telling Khrushchev to turn his boats around?
Full retaliatory response. He didn't bat an eye.
We were in New York, in bed. Just like this, remember? 118th Street.
Meatball sandwiches from Sharky's.
Your last year's residency. I swear that we made Maryland that night.
We got up, went to the window, looked for the bombs.
Didn't happen.
As I look at this now, it seems as if a lady going to bed should have removed her makeup. That's a detail which eluded me.
The Donnellys left today for Guadalajara.
Guadalajara?
I swear it. I spoke to her as they were pulling out. She said they were dovetailing their vacation at the rising international tension.
Oh, cut it out.
I'm not kidding. Well, they took their Vietnamese maid with them. And that rotten little barking dog with the pushed-in face.
Oh, what about their little combination tractor, lawnmower, golf cart with a silver hubcaps?
Probably. What if it does happen? What do we do?
told me nothing like this was ever going to happen.
Maureen, it's just an alert. That's all. I mean, we're going to run around and check things twice instead of once. That's it.
Well, what am I going to tell my mother? She's got the house all set, a room for Skip.
Well, why don't you go on down? No, I'm serious, honey. Why don't you just take Skip going down to your mother's, and then I'll just join you when this whole thing is over, okay?
That's just great. Oh, Billy, I'm sorry. I know I'm not making this any easier on you. I love you. Know that.
I love you too, Maureen. Look, just 5.5 months. That's it. 5.5 months, and I'll be out the service. I'll be working 40 hours a week, making $17.50 per hour.
You taking everything you got?
Damn it, Maureen, it's an alert. It is 4 sets of everything. It's just strictly by the book.
I'm scared as what?
Look, sit down. Maureen, there's nothing to worry about. I'm going to be right next door. I'm going to be on the base the whole time, and I'm going to call you every night. Okay? It's all right.
Cows are out.
What do you say you and me get some breakfast?
This shot was actually made at about 7:30 at night. And we're just losing the light enough to make it look like dawn.
Unilateral military action in response to the deteriorating situation in East Germany. Press Secretary David Towns, speaking for the president, unequivocally stated the administration's support for the NATO-pact alliance.
Still in makeup, I see.
Where in hell have you been?
Don't you just walk right by me when you hear me asking you a question.
What are you doing sneaking in here?
I'm not sneaking. I never sneak.
Then why didn't you come in the back door?
I didn't even know the door was unlocked, Daddy. I've been out with Bruce riding around.
Riding around. All night.
Frankly, Daddy, that's none of your business.
As long as you live.
Oh, Daddy, please don't say that. Because I'm getting married tomorrow. Jolene! You get back in there and stop eavesdropping.
I'm not eavesdropping. I'm just waiting for you to finish up so I can get back to the bathroom.
Well, use the one outside the kitchen, honey.
The water's freezing out there.
Well, hurry it up for Pete's sake. Can't you see that we're talking?
The whole world's just holding its breath to hear what you're talking about.
What is all the commotion out there?
Nothing, Evie. Honey, let's just forget what I said. You're no sneak.
This was shot in California, and I'm afraid it looks it a bit. When you send a company on location to make a movie, you are fielding an army, and the people in charge felt that one football field probably looked pretty much like another, except I don't know where those hills would be in Kansas. So the idea is to get back from location as fast as you can to a place where the crew goes home at night and not to a hotel.
Yeah, he's born guard, though, you know. Stocky. All heart. I try not to miss a practice when I'm not on the road. I don't like to embarrass him by hanging around the bench. Oh, by the way, I'm Doug Sr.
Oh, Russ Oakes. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Well, see you, Doc.
Okay, bye.
It always seems strange to me to see those hills.
NATO armored units had broken through the Helmstedt checkpoint into East Germany. And after heavy fighting or advancing under air support 2 miles along the E8 Bundesstrasse corridor past Marienborn toward Berlin. French news agency has received conflicting reports of East German resistance and heavy casualties. But ground observers have confirmed that 2 Soviet-built MiG-25s invaded West German airspace, firing several air-to-ground missiles at a NATO munitions storage facility and also hitting a school and hospital outside of Würzburg.
While we save a single blue baby, they are forming hospitals.
All these interiors were shot in a Los Angeles hospital, which for some reason or other had been condemned. I'm not quite sure why, since there didn't seem anything wrong with it to me. But we just camped out here and had the run of the place. It wasn't an old hospital either, it was a new hospital. And this was before any earthquake damage. So I'm not quite sure why this place had gone belly up.
Do you understand what's going on in this world?
Yeah? Stupidity has a habit of getting its way.
Dr. Oakes.
Yes?
Oh, Dr. Oakes, your wife would like you to come.
Oh, thank you.
According to sworn administration sources, the city of Moscow is being evacuated. We repeat, according to sworn administration sources, the city of Moscow is being evacuated. It is not generally known in Washington at the present time whether the evacuation order indicates the entire population of Moscow or whether other major Soviet cities have been similarly affected by an evacuation order.
Sam,
Yeah.
where's Dr. Oakes?
He's probably stuck in traffic on the I-70. Hey, haven't you heard? Everyone's gone fishing. Who's in charge?
Good question. Montoya's in KC, and Julian wants staff informed of emergency procedures in case a general metro evacuation is ordered. So he needs a medical.
Oh, no, not me, Bauer. See, I'm just a resident with 120 freshman bodies to examine. Unfortunately, most of them male.
Nice try.
Dr. Edwards, staff.
Just like the Army.
Yeah, I wonder where we're going to be next week.
Somewhere in the upper atmosphere. Name?
Stephen Klein. K-L-E-I-N.
Japanese? Age?
19.
Residence?
Joplin?
No, I mean on campus.
Oh, Davidson 4.
What's your major, Stephen?
Pre-med.
He's shooting baskets at the Y. He knows better. This is my second false alarm. I'm 10 days early. A little tension grabber, he says. Where's yours?
My what?
Your husband.
Oh, he's trying to catch a plane out right about now. So what's he got to do with anything? I'm not the one having the baby.
Yeah. What's it like?
What?
You know, having a baby, what's it feel like?
Never had one.
You said I know.
I know what?
Back in emergency, I was telling you about the pain. She said, I know.
I know about the pains because I'm a nurse and a lot like you.
Yeah, you want to know what it feels like? It feels like I'm going to have a basketball.
Where is everybody? They're all watching the news. Say, I saw Ticker and Judy Francis taking off. Thumbs out, backpacks and all. So what are you doing here? Holding my place in line. If I don't get into Bowman's metallurgy class this semester, I'm not going to graduate in January.
What's going on? They say the Russians just invaded West Germany.
Three-pronged attack, spearheaded by rapid Soviet tank and artillery advances into the Fulda Gap. Having already captured NATO advanced positions along the West German border, the looming question is, how far will Warsaw Pact forces go? Will the Russians advance straight for the Rhine and defy NATO's declared policy of defense by all means, including the use of tactical nuclear weapons? The Defense Department today reported...
Fantasyland.
You think they're making this up? You think this is War of the Worlds or something?
Look, did we help the Czechs, the Hungarians, the Afghans, or the Poles? Well, we're not going to nuke the Russians to save the Germans. I mean, if you were talking oil in Saudi Arabia, then I'd be real worried.
What do you think?
I gotta get a haircut. You know, I think I'm gonna hitch home, see my folks, and I'll see what's happening on Monday.
Where do you live?
Joplin? You go to Joplin?
Hey, son, hop in. I'll give you a ride.
Oh, great.
I can take you as far as Missouri.
Make it pretty, Ollie. This is my last trim as a free man. I'm getting married tomorrow.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, congratulations, Glenn. Who knows? The president's speaking on television at 6 tonight. Maybe he'll tell us something new.
Well, they'll tell us what they want us to hear. Keep the panic at the low sweat stage.
I really don't think either side wants to be the first to use a nuclear device.
You know, it's not a question of who, but where. Over whose real estate. Say we explode a nuclear bomb over their troops on our side. The fallout had better not drift over to their side.
They're crazy. How do they expect it's going to stop with just one bomb?
You want to know what crazy is? Crazy's not staying out of other people's business. We shouldn't be over there in the first place.
Well, maybe they'll contain it. After all, I've still got symphony tickets for tonight.
The thing that bothers me is that damn Launch-on warning.
What's that?
That's when one side tells the other that they're going to fire their missiles as soon as they think the other guy's missiles are already on the way.
You know, use them or lose them.
What do you really think the chances of something like that happening way the hell out here in the middle of nowhere?
Nowhere? There's no nowhere anymore. You're sitting next to the Whiteman Air Force Base right now. That's about...
One of the insanities about nuclear war is the whole question of retaliation versus preemptive strikes, and whether you have time in the very limited amount of notice given you of a possible enemy incoming attack to push the button. And there have been several occasions when our radar system has indicated that there was an incoming nuclear attack, later discovered to be a flight of birds. And with maybe 14 minutes or less to decide, it doesn't seem like a very sensible way to go.
Get on in the truck, son. Listen, fellas, I'm gonna cut on out now. Good luck to you.
As soon as we get home, you line up some milk jugs, about a half a dozen of them, put them beside the water pump. We're going to fill them with water and take them down the cellar.
Yes, sir. All right.
My kids just left on the camping trip. I don't know how I'm going to... what I'm going to...
Hey, 1 minute now. Don't cry.
Urges me to learn the steps to be taken in the event of probable...
All right, now, please don't panic. There's plenty of supplies for everyone.
Just get the can.
Okay, folks, all your personal checks will be cashed in 6 and 4, and the staff will take credit cards.
Right on, let the shelf is empty. We could have been
Just don't panic. Stay calm and pleasant, please. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, please be considerate. We have plenty of supplies. We work through the back and bring out more supplies. Just be considerate of one another.
Get battery.
Any more news? We just hit one of our ships in the Persian Gulf.
What's
this? The Russians, what do you think? We hit them back, one of their ships, you know?
Out of my way.
Sarah, Kenny, wash up for lunch. You got plenty of milk.
Those clouds hurry up and open up. Use one more good rain before the cut.
Hey, did you kids hear me?
Wait a few minutes.
Oh, honey, the biscuits.
That 3 nuclear weapons in the low kiloton range were airburst this morning over advancing Soviet troops.
And here we are back to our stock footage demonstrating our preparedness.
And that both sides are working together to bring about the earliest possible ceasefire.
Roger, 1590. We'll take off on lane 5.
2-8, clear ground.
External post checked on. Stand by to start.
Get them up.
Do an interrupt. Good cooks.
159. Indian is.
These are the B-52s.
Says the president is presently in direct communication with Soviet Premier. 5, 3, 6, 1. Nuclear bomb of undetermined strength has exploded at regional NATO military headquarters.
Launch message at this time. Takeoff runway 31.
Eve?
shower.
Well, get them downstairs.
Oh, Jim.
This is a scene which is very much about the paradox, the denial.
Well, it's just going to have to go on without me because your daughter is getting married tomorrow and I got 67 mouths to feed.
I hope so.
And people who can't, understandably can't, come to grips with what's going on. It is a microcosm of the whole problem. And here we see everybody's worst nightmare come to pass. Obviously, any place that is anywhere near a nuclear missile silo becomes itself a target.
I gotta go. Stand by to copy the message. Standing by.
Message follows. Alpha 7 8 November Foxtrot 1 5 2 2.
Capsule? Yes, sir. This is Oscar 11. We just started, sir. Why?
Topside! You gotta get out of here! Stand by to copy the message. Standing by.
Message follows.
That's a GCS execution from the president. I agree with message valid also. Step 1, launch keys inserted. Roger. Let's enable the missiles. Program flight switch, enable. Flight all, LFO. Unlock code inserted. Stand by. Unlock codes inserted. Enable switch, enable. It's enabled. Coordinate. Enable command. Yes, this is us. We're doing all call enable. Thank you. Key turn on my mark. Standing by. 5, 4.
Seems to be the most heart-stopping moment in the film, the one that everybody remembers, and it is largely created with the use of stock footage and filmed reaction shots such as this, or these. That is a simulated shot. We added the missile contrails, as we did here.
Upstairs.
I want you to take those tarps and canvases down in the basement, like I told you. And stay there with Jolene, you understand?
Yes, Daddy.
And here is the ultimate scene of denial.
Evie, don't bother with the bed just now. Evie, we've got to get down below. Listen. Those missiles have all gone off.
I might remark at this point that the making of the film was hardest on the actors, who had to envision, in order to replicate, their emotional responses. That's a simulated contrail shot. And the principal actors in the film suffered from what we used to call nuke mares. Steve Guttenberg had them constantly. We developed a certain gallows humor approach, but notwithstanding that, I think it was very hard on the actors to live this stuff.
Beale Air Force Base, California, and somewhere in England.
Can you believe it? They really gonna do it. They checked them. They pushed all the buttons.
You know what that means, don't you? Either we fired first and they're gonna try to hit what's left, or they fired first and we just got our missiles out of the ground in time. Either way, we're gonna get hit.
So what are we still standing around here for?
Where do you want to go?
Well, how about out of here for starters? I gotta get my wife and my kid.
We're still on alert, Billy. No one leaves this facility.
Oh,
Not until the choppers.
Who are you kidding? You kidding me, man? The bombs will be here before the choppers will. Listen.
Damn.
Listen to me, man. The war is over. It's over. We done our job. So what are you still guarding? Huh? Some cotton-picking hole in the ground, all dressed up and nowhere to go?
He's right.
Oh, Lord.
Star and Boyle.
What about them?
What are they doing? Yeah, they're 60 feet down, sipping on some cold beer and whistling Misty.
I'm going down there.
Forget
You can't go down there. That elevator's secured.
You hear yourself talking, bozo? Because I hear you saying that we got direct orders to be sitting ducks.
Guys, we gotta
There's a ladder on the side of that shaft.
So what? You're still behind an 8-ton steel door? Enough food and water for 2 weeks. They're not gonna let you in there.
There's still that little room off the elevator.
Tommy, you know as well as I do that a direct hit will take out the main shaft and Boyle and Star, too.
Well, I'd rather take my chances down there.
This shot was a real tricky shot. We had to take over an interstate. In retrospect, it seems to me that it would have been better staged if the cars had switched over to use the empty side of the highway if they were really that desperate to get away.
Come on, Billy, this was your idea.
No, not no hole in the ground was my idea. Yeah. Yeah, sure, man. Come on, make up your mind. Because you're either going to crawl down in that hole or you're going to shoot me in the back. So what does the book say, bozo?
Again, this whole missile compound was something that we had to build, since, as I say, the military refused to cooperate.
What's going on?
Those are Minuteman missiles.
And these, again, are simulated missile contrails.
They take about 30 minutes to reach their target.
So do theirs, right?
Missile warning, this is Beale. Confidence is high. I repeat, confidence is high. Roger, we've got 32 targets in track and 10 impacting points. Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Roger, understand. Major Reinhardt, we have a massive attack against the U.S. at this time. ICBMs. Numerous ICBMs.
Roger, understand. Over 300 missiles inbound now.
And here is a scene shot in downtown Los Angeles, which was a crucial scene to me because I don't believe any of us know where to go during an air raid. And so I felt it very important. It was one of the few glimpses of an urban situation in the movie. Most of it is rural and farmland, but it seemed to me that there ought to be some lip service paid, as it's being paid here, to what happens in a city. The fact of the matter is, and I don't think the film is exaggerating, that in the event of a missile attack, there are no evacuation plans that are known to most people, or that are even workable. To evacuate a city of millions in a very short time, I think, would be impossible. I certainly have no idea what I'm supposed to do in the event of a nuclear missile attack. What is now being demonstrated is something called the electromagnetic pulse, in which a nuclear bomb exploded high enough above the surface would send a power surge through all electrical vehicles, such as batteries and particularly transistors. Transistors are wonderfully effective and efficient users of energy, but they're also extremely vulnerable to a power surge. So all these cars would suddenly lose their battery power. Here's a second explosion. These obviously are simulated, but this is real atom bomb footage, integrated, as I say, with our fictional footage. The special effects are probably pretty good for television. They would not have been acceptable in a feature. This is real atom bomb footage, probably very familiar. Bear in mind that this was the optimist's view of these events. With the pessimist's view, the picture could have ended right here. And obviously a tremendous amount of stock footage was employed in order to achieve this sequence.
That's Rusty. Dad, we left Rusty.
We might be down here a long time. There's not going to be enough food and water for Rusty.
You mean he's just going to die out there?
Honey, we're going to have to get used to things being alive.
Anything that you say about the aftermath of a nuclear war is to a large degree speculative. It is either based on the evidence we have from atomic testing and from the events of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where actual nuclear weapons were dropped on civilian populations. This is obviously, I hope it's not obvious, but it is a match shot. And in fact, the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, from the standpoint of modern nuclear technology, were essentially horse and buggy items of, say, a 50 megaton bomb dropped today. So it's anybody's guess what the aftermath of such a nuclear exchange would really be. And as I say, there are endless theories, including the theory of nuclear winter. The nuclear winter theory was not even on the books when this film was made. And as I believe I've also earlier remarked, there was a fine line to tread here between showing the aftermath of nuclear war as it really might be and showing it such that people would be able to keep watching the movie. That happens to be my sister.
Here it comes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I see.
Where's Dr. Montoya?
Gone.
Julian.
Upstairs, putting out hot.
Hurry, it's filled up. Yeah, well, get the beds in the halls away from the windows.
Have you seen the number of people in here? This is supposed to double as a fallout shelter. They're playing around shock or
Where is Dr. Wallenberg? She's got all the radiological equipment.
What did you see?
Listen, why don't we have any emergency power here?
There's no electricity anywhere.
What?
What did you see? You come from Kansas City. What did you see?
I was on the freeway, about 30 miles away. I'm not sure. Just high in the air, directly above downtown. Like the sun exploding.
I'm taking you into the hall. You'll be safer there.
Protect you from the fallout. Come right through the window, through the walls.
What's your right?
Hey, Julian.
Folks, thank God you know. Listen, there are only a handful of doctors on duty. I'm down to about a quarter of the hospital staff.
You've got to get the uninjured in the shelters in the campus building.
Right, I'll see what I can do.
Is it over?
I don't know. Seems to be.
Well, how many were there?
2. Kansas City. There are more to the south.
Well, was it just Kansas or the whole?
The most interesting moment about deciding to do this movie, because as I said, there were 4 directors, or 3 in front of me, who turned it down. I was in analysis at the time, and I was trying to rationalize my way out of not doing it, not because it was a television movie, but because of the horrifying subject matter, which, like everybody else, I would prefer to ignore. And my analyst said to me, well, I think now is when we get to find out who you really are. And at that moment I realized that I would have to do the movie. And I sort of wished he hadn't said it. But I also wound up using that line on many other people that I wanted to get to do the movie with me, including Gain Rescher, my cinematographer. He didn't want to do it either. And I said, so let me get this straight. All we're going to do is sit around at dinner parties and bitch about how terrible things are, when here is a chance to put your work in the service of your beliefs. Now, how often does that happen in Hollywood? The footage that you're looking at here was shot after the movie was completed in Latigo Canyon north of Los Angeles, where a forest fire had burned it to the ground, but it made a great nuclear aftermath. And we just went up there with a camera, no sound, and filmed sequences there, which you will see again.
Now, please listen to me. Listen to me. We need your help. This is a hospital. Those of you not seriously ill or injured have to work. Work with our staff. Now, this work will be dangerous. We have to do it in order to survive.
We tried hooking up an auxiliary pump to a backup generator, and we're still only getting a trickle.
I still don't understand. Did they burn out?
They could have been subject to the EMP effects. What's that? Electromagnetic pulse. When a large nuclear device is airburst at high altitude, a lot of electrical disruption can be created, principally with radios, communication systems, electrical wires, computers, cars, transistors. Of course, it's all theoretical. It's never happened before. In short, very little electricity. Forever. We'll have to find the nearest hand pump and chain gang the water in.
Nobody's going to go out there and expose themselves to...
We have to have water. How are we going to operate?
Wait a minute. Sit tight for a couple of days. Now, what about fuel to boil water, heat food, sterilize surgical instruments?
What about bringing in wood?
You can't burn wood that's been contaminated. Just put radiation right back in the air. What about bottled gas?
There's some butane, but no more than about 3 days worth.
The trick in making a film like this is to purvey as much information, in this case sometimes it's speculation, as possible in what seems least to be a directly expository fashion. I'm not always sure we were successful, but I really didn't care. As I've said before, I never viewed this as a movie per se. To me, it was always more like a big public service announcement along the order of the Smokey the Bear, only you can prevent forest fires. I wanted it to be as crude and in your face as possible.
Well, get on down here. Shut that door first. Jolene, cut that light off. Save it for when we need it.
Just wanted to see who it was.
All right.
My name's Stephen.
We're the Dahlbergs. I'm Eve. It's Jim, Denise, Jolene, and Danny.
He looked at one going off.
He's flash blinded. He burned his retinas.
What do you know about it?
Not a whole lot. Pre-med over at KU.
Do you know Bruce Gallatin? He's a senior.
No.
But you're from Lawrence, so maybe Bruce is all right.
Well, I don't know what happened to Lawrence. I was close to Harrisonville when it started. Must have been 5 or 6 of them to the north, and a whole string of them to the south.
They must have hit every missile silo from Sedalia to El Dorado Springs.
Hold her now. All right.
These horrors, I'm afraid, speak for themselves.
Have you been in shelter the past few days?
Last night, we slept in a chicken coop in Lone Jack.
But otherwise, you've been outside since then.
Yeah.
Hold still. Since making a martyr of yourself.
You know what's going to happen next around here, don't
I've been trying not to think about it.
you? We may be the only hospital operating within 100 miles. Everyone half alive or dying will find their way here.
Too late to become a dentist? What are you thinking?
I wonder who was spared. I wonder if New York, Paris, Moscow are just like Kansas City now.
Of course, by rights, all these plants should have gone. And the glass should have gone, but there were limits to what our television budget could do, and knocking out all these windows and replacing them was not one of them.
Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Is anybody there? This is Lawrence. This is Lawrence, Kansas. Is anybody there? This is Joe Huxley. I'm broadcasting out of the Science Building at the University of Kansas. Is anybody there? I have an atmosphere report for anybody who's listening. Dr. Oakes, do you read? Come in, Dr. Oakes. Do you hear me?
Yes, Joe.
We're holding fast at just a hair under 50 rads per hour. I thought that it would have diminished by now, but I guess that means we're picking up a lot of fallout from Titan missile bases.
Wichita, wherever else. Out west. That's the way the wind blows.
Straight toward St. Louis.
When will it be safe to move people to other buildings?
It'll never be safe.
Come on, Joe.
Well, it gets down to under 2 rads an hour. If and when. Have you picked up anybody else on your end?
Not so.
This is Lawrence. This is Lawrence, Kansas. Is anybody there? Anybody at all?
That's the first time you closed your eyes in 3 days.
I do it when you're not looking.
You look terrible.
You sound just like my wife.
One of the things we discovered in editing the film is that the fictional plots we had created seemed dwarfed into complete insignificance once the bomb fell. We were, in effect, stuck with them, but they seemed quite trivial in the wake of the disaster that we had depicted, which, when you edit it together and put in all the sound and all the effects, seems so cataclysmically horrifying. So the subplots, or the threads of our story, got pared to the bone. Originally, The Day After was conceived as a 2-part television event, which is to say 4 hours of something spread over 2 nights.
I never imagined you.
Look at that. Here's a scene that was cut out of the television version because it was deemed too upsetting for children to see, which I always thought was slightly hilarious. In any case, 4 hours meant 3 hours of film spread over 2 nights, which is to say an hour and a half of film each night, plus a total of 30 minutes of commercials each night. When I first read the script, I said, gee, it seems kind of padded by about an hour. And they said, well, yes, it probably is. We don't expect to make any money doing this, but there's a limit to how much we can afford to lose, and the hour that you propose cutting out also justifies the half-hour a night of ad time. And I said, all right, and I filmed the padded version. It was when I got into an editing room that I realized that I had never edited film to a prearranged length before, and it just didn't make any sense to knowingly play out scenes longer than they seemed properly to play. So I did a lot of cutting, and I asked ABC, could I not show them the film with its best foot forward, so to speak, as a one-night event, since I didn't think anybody was going to tune in for night number 2 of Armageddon anyway. ABC, by this time, unbeknownst to me, was having trouble attracting sponsors as more and more people became scared. General Motors, General Foods, General Mills, all the generals started bailing out. So they came back to me and said, oh yes, it was indeed possible that I cut the thing down for one night, which is eventually what it became. And here is our attempt to, what looks like broken windows back there is black cardboard pasted against the windows. Again, we couldn't destroy the windows of the Palmatier farmhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. And we used a special in-camera technique to give it this white effect. And a lot of Fuller's Earth.
You can't see it. You can't feel it. And you can't taste it. But it's here. Right now. All around us. It's going through you like an X-ray. Right into your cells. What do you think killed all these animals? Don't kill. No.
All the ground sprayed black. That is not a large amount of ground until you have to spray it. And then it becomes very large indeed.
Oh, yeah? How come?
People there.
How do you know?
A man with a CB back in Leeton.
You from Leeton? How's Sedalia? I said, how's Sedalia?
There ain't no Sedalia. Ain't no Green Ridge, no Windsor, no nothing.
Russell, 17 people died in here this morning. I would say that we are running a serious cholera risk.
Say nothing of the bodies, and the morgue is filled. Should we start using the garage?
Move the terminal radiation patients back into the wardrooms, make them as comfortable as possible, and I'll talk to Joe Huxley about the rad situation.
Dr. Oakes, we're running very low on morphine. There's been quite a lot of stealing going on.
They're stealing food from the kitchen. A few minutes ago, Dr. Strayhorn got his wrist broken trying to stop a fight down in emergency.
Close the doors! Don't let anyone else in. Put on extra guards if you have to. How can we care for people if we have no control? Isn't that what you're trying to tell me, Julian?
Yes.
Doctor, have you heard about firing squads? Anything about fighting squads?
What are you talking about?
The shooting people?
Shooting? What for?
Looting, hijacking, rape, murder?
Without a trial? That's nonsense. That's crazy. Go back to work.
What the hell are you doing? Hey, whoa, hey. Wait a minute. Hey, no, come on, don't do that, man. Cool is it? Hey, no, don't do that. Come on, man. Who's there?
Go on.
What's going on? Okay. Wait. Okay, man. It's all right. It's all right. Hey. I want you to... You see these people? That's us, man, if we don't get to Lawrence.
Once again, I suppose it seemed easier to shoot down on these people than to show vast vistas that I couldn't transform. This interior LA hospital, on the other hand, is a place over which I had complete control. Interiors are obviously easier to manipulate. And I'm very much afraid that this is a beautifully lit scene. I say afraid because it almost calls attention to itself in a way that I was trying to resist.
Whether you like it or not, you're holding back hope.
Hope for what? What do you think's gonna happen out there? You think we're gonna sweep up the dead and fill in a couple of holes and build some supermarkets? You think all those people left alive out there are gonna say, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't my fault. Let's kiss and make up. We knew the score. We knew all about bombs. We knew all about fallout. We knew this could happen for 40 years. Nobody was interested.
I can't argue with you.
Argue with me. Please. Give me a reason. Tell me about hope. Tell me why you work so hard in here.
I don't know.
Night is another way to help control vistas. If you can't paint everything black, maybe you can just wait till the sun goes down. We're also here, and in easy stages, as you may have noticed, slowly depicting the effects of radiation sickness. This is somewhat less speculative, since we have a lot more ways of exposing people to overdoses of radiation besides nuclear weapons. One of the things that you will see shortly is the increasing loss of hair. This was very important to me, since trying to find ways in which an audience can identify with the ghastliness, if you like, of human suffering in the wake of a nuclear event, I think we know a lot can be done with makeup, and there's something familiar about that, no matter how well it's done. But the loss of hair somehow seems a more personal, a more shocking, perhaps more unusual facet of suffering. And it was one of the things that ultimately I chose to emphasize. Refugee camps, as we all know, are part of the world picture of human suffering. They exist and have existed all over the world. With the exception of the Japanese internment camps in World War II in the United States, we haven't had refugee camps. So here's another new experience.
I got these bruises like all on my arms, see, and it's real bad. Look, look at Cody. See, Cody's got them all up his arm, like. Look, I know we got radiation sickness. The only question is there anything that we can do about it?
The radiation count is now 0.4 rads an hour, which is considered safe for limited exposure outdoors. We urge all of you not suffering from specific physical injury to seek fresh shelter in campus buildings.
Again, that black paper on the windows, which seems to be pretty persuasive in place of cracked glass. And massive amounts of Fuller's earth and a tendency to shoot straight down.
There was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. And a third of the earth was burnt up, a third of the trees and all the green grass. And then from the smoke came locusts on the earth.
Here's another moment that the censors wanted out of the original shooting script. I kept it in, and the network allowed it. A vaginal hemorrhage.
counted among God's servants. We give thanks to thee, O Lord God Almighty, for rewarding thy servants and those who fear thy name, both great and small, and for destroying the destroyers of the earth.
The film was originally titled by Ed Hume, who wrote the screenplay, Silence in Heaven, which was a title I much preferred. But the network had their own ideas and retitled it somewhat more prosaically, The Day After.
Stay here. She's my daughter.
I'm gonna bring him back.
What's going on?
Eve, we're going to have to try to get her up here a little more secure. I'm going to try to put her feet through here. Maybe you could help me with her head.
Let me get up here.
All right.
Here, would you?
Just lie right down there, sweetie. Daddy loves you.
What do you see?
Oh, cows, telephone poles, usual stuff.
Have you seen what's going on out there?
Yes.
Well, what are we going to do?
Gonna let him in, Paul. Many as we can.
Gentlemen, President of the United States. My fellow Americans, while the extent of damage to our country is still uncertain and shall probably remain so for some time, preliminary reports indicate that principal weapons impact points included military and industrial targets in most sectors of the United States. There is, at the present time, a ceasefire with the Soviet Union, which has sustained damage equally catastrophic. Many of you, listening to me today, have suffered personal injury, sudden separation from loved ones, and the tragic loss of your families. I share your grief, for I too have suffered personal loss. During this hour of sorrow, I wish to assure you that America has survived this terrible tribulation. There has been no surrender, no retreat from the principles of liberty and democracy for which the free world looks to us for leadership. We remain undaunted before all but Almighty God, the government. Functioning under certain extraordinary emergency options, we are prepared to make every effort to coordinate relief and recovery programs at the state and local levels. During the next 2 weeks, my staff and cabinet will attempt to relocate to National Emergency Reconstruction Headquarters. At the present time,
and until radiation pattern reports are made available over the emergency broadcast band or through your local authorities, I urge you to remain in areas offering maximum shelter protection.
I believe this scene was all shot on the remains of a building in Kansas City that had been leveled. I think the point of using an Oriental child in the rubble was fairly obvious.
That's all he's gonna say?
Hey, maybe we're gonna be okay.
What do you want to hear?
I want to know who started it, who fired first, who preempted.
You're never gonna know that.
What difference does it make?
He doesn't know how badly we were
He
hit.
sure would have
But he
told
knows
us if
we
they
hit
would have
just as
fired
bad.
first.
He doesn't want anyone to think we lost the war.
You believe that? You believe everything they tell you?
Doctor, wait. You know what Einstein said about World War III? He said he didn't know how they were going to fight World War III, but he knew how they would fight World War IV with sticks and stones.
Dr. Oakes, we have to contend with the number of bodies, the time required for each individual burial.
Dr. Oakes.
The danger of infection now is so grave, the only solution is to prepare for public graves on the outside of town.
Dr. Oakes.
Dr. Oakes.
Dr. Oakes, you're wanting surgery. You're already 5 minutes late.
Dr. Oakes. Dr. Oakes.
Dr. Oakes, are you all right?
You got a boy out there?
Number 80, Alan Oakes.
We're all changing, Daddy, don't you see?
I swear that we made a haircut of
We're all changing, Daddy, don't you see?
Does it help stupidity?
Sometimes it's hard to know how to experience a Chinese landscape.
Hey,
You
didn't
know
happen.
why?
It's not
I'm
fair.
having wants to be in the landscape.
What if it
Be a
doesn't?
part of it.
What do we do?
Hiroshima was peanuts.
People are crazy.
Hiroshima was peanuts.
Because the artist wants to be in the landscape.
This is Lawrence, Kansas. Son, Spokane. People are crazy, but not that crazy.
I'd like some water, please.
Come on. You're not Helen. Oh. This must be the hospice. Paul probably thinks I'm dying. Maybe I am. Maybe we're all dying.
Nurse! Nurse! I can't find my shirt! I can't find my... I looked.
I've got your shirt.
No, I can't find my shirt. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
I've recently seen footage of Nazi concentration camps when they were liberated, and the whole idea of mass graves, and some of this bears an uncanny resemblance.
That's it. No more.
What do you mean, no more? I've got 3 chicks of powdered milk and 2 kids at home. Haven't eaten since day before yesterday.
I'm sorry, lady. What do you want me to do? You want to come in here and look around at all the stuff we're hiding?
Yeah, there is no more food in there.
That's for the other camp.
Are you really a doctor? You sure don't talk like one.
Well, actually, I'm the pizza man.
What's your name?
Sam. Sam Hachia.
What kind of name's that?
What's it sound like?
I don't know. Italian?
There you go. Hey, what do you know? Sam Hachia Pizzeria, huh?
When can I see my sister?
That depends, kiddo. You stay here. I'll be back.
I'm not going anyplace.
So, what we want you to do now is burn out your current crops, start decontaminating the soil, and plan next spring's planting. Crop selection must consider plants least susceptible to ultraviolet radiation and yields for human rather than animal consumption.
Excuse me, Mel, but how do you go about decontaminating the soil?
Well, you chiefly wait for the fallout to decay to safe enough levels to...
It's interesting that when we were trying to get help from the Army and the government, they asked us to put in this speech about how things were going to be. And initially I resisted this whole idea as self-serving and a lie. And then I realized that by putting it in, it just made the whole proposition look even more absurd. And so I left it in and played it in this fashion to make it look as ridiculous as I guess we felt it was. It didn't help us get any Army cooperation. The more things we said yes to, the more things they wanted us to do.
We're talking catastrophe here, not life as usual. Now, the National Emergency Reconstruction Administration's primary goal is to establish order and to aid you in salvaging your resources for the country at large.
What's going on down there? What do you think you're doing down there? Who are you folks? This is my home.
This seems to have shocked more people than almost anything else in the film. I don't know if it's because they identified particularly with the character portrayed by John Cullum, or whether it wasn't simply the notion that people could be brought to do such things to one another in the wake of a nuclear catastrophe that was so profoundly disturbing. It sort of comes out of left field, which was the plan.
Tell me, Sam. What was it?
Meningitis.
I do think that even though we know it's makeup, we would have to say that the makeup in this film is superb and deeply disturbing.
You know, you shouldn't go back to work right away.
Doctor's orders?
Right.
All right. I'll take some time off. See the sights.
Sure. Take yourself a little vacation. Nice time of the year, fall. Where do you think I'm going?
Kansas City. Curious? Don't you wonder about it?
I'm not going back there.
Why don't you come with me?
They probably won't let you back in anyway.
I want to see my home before I die.
Okay. All right. Get the bandages back on. Take your hands down. Here they go. Okay. Okay.
Once again, the fine line that had to be walked on the film. Television, movies, and for all I know, features as well, have difficulty taking firm positions on controversial issues. Certainly, it was my understanding that if you have a nuclear war, everybody will die. That was what we were attempting to say here. But we had to say it in such a way that we would not appear to be advocating pro or con the idea of a nuclear war itself. It's an extremely problematic line to draw.
So where are you from?
Kansas City.
This was the biggest scene we staged in the film and the most ambitious. You'll see why in a moment. Those people all started in makeup in the middle of the night. And we weren't ready to go until fairly late in the day. But they were all troopers. I think it's fair to say that most of the people who participated in the film believed very deeply in the film and what the film was trying to say. And that lent a certain esprit de corps to the entire undertaking and a certain level of selflessness.
You look like you fell off your bike.
Niece, I had a hard time finding you here.
How's Danny?
He's okay.
What about his eyes?
The doctor says that I'll be able to take you home in a couple of days.
Phone's working?
Are you kidding? There aren't going to be any phones.
They give me this ribbon to wear. But I haven't got any damn hair to put it into.
You look great.
And this is a matte and special effects shot. A couple of them, actually. The remains of Kansas City. And this, as I indicated, was a demolished city block. Once again, we were always very leery about horizons and eliminated them wherever possible. Most of those faces are amateur actors, and I think they did a really swell job. I think once you do decide to concentrate on the horror of this, it's all too easy to throw yourself into it That was supposed to be his wife's watch, but I don't remember if any of us remember that he put it on her wrist earlier in the film.
Get out of my house.
I actually shot this scene twice. Once in Kansas City, where I wasn't very happy with it, and there again back in Los Angeles, where I restaged it more to my satisfaction. I didn't feel that the set was particularly well dressed and as horrible as it should have been in the Kansas City location. And here, which is the final scene of the movie, one of those ambiguous moments whose meaning I cannot certify. To me, these men are doomed and will die. To those who have other agendas, they insist on seeing in it some form of hope.
Anybody there? Anybody at all?
And here was our disclaimer.